Hey, solopreneur pals, I have a piece of advice for you. Yes, you are an expert. And I think it's really easy sometimes for us to forget that. And for the ego, the voices, the tricksters in our head to make us think that we don't have information that is worth sharing with our audiences. We start thinking that everybody already knows, and then we don't go out and share. So today we're going to talk about that. Jennifer Burke and Mighty Marketing Mojo. It is Thursday Tips, and the schedule's been a little bit off lately, and I haven't been able to be regular with our live Facebook chats on Thursday to do Thursday Tips. And for those of you who are just joining me in, hello, and this is a reminder that I sometimes take and repurpose something that I talked about in an email or maybe a blog post, and I bring it over here to Facebook, and we have a little chat, and we talk about it some more. And then I'm going to repurpose this further, and this Thursday Tips chat is then going to wind up on YouTube for my friends who aren't major Facebook fans and want to see it in a different way. Those are all good marketing tips. But today, something came up to me, and it reminded me while I was gone and while I didn't get to give you a Thursday Tips in person. Hey, Claudette. And I have two business hats, Mighty Marketing Mojo, where I talk marketing, coaching, tech, and I try and take the frustration and the headaches out of marketing for my solopreneur pals and show you what if marketing could be easier. Let's streamline this because you've got an impact to make in the world and you've also got other busy things to do in your business and in your life. But the first half of my business originally started that makes use of the other parts of my background. The fact that I was a one-time advertising and marketing executive in New York, Philadelphia, and as I was reminded, I did start off in Chicago. And that I also have a graduate degree in library science. I am human walking Google. Not nearly as much so as my friends who are actually practicing librarians. But the point is, I was out traveling around the Midwest, teaching workshops, hands-on workshops on two topics that from my background and my expertise and the things I love doing, they don't necessarily make me an expert among my solopreneur pals or among those who coach and train other online business owners. But for my nonprofit clients, for my library clients, I am so far in light years ahead, and I am the only person talking about those sorts of things. So I did hands-on workshops about video and how to create videos without needing to be Steven Spielberg and have a budget and having people appear on camera and all of the tech and how you can still make this an effective way to tell a story. And I also talked about persuasive writing, what others of us in marketing would call copywriting, and how to use certain formulas and tools and shortcuts that copywriters have known about for ages, that the folks in my ad agency days used without even really thinking about, well, this is the BAF formula and this is the PAS, and they just did it because people had been doing that in ad agencies for literally 100 and some odd years. And it reminded me when I'm done driving through the cornfields, literally the cornfields in the Midwest, of that old adage that to a kindergartner, a third grader is like a god. Because they're worldly, they're older, they're also taller. They know more things. And yet the third grader doesn't actually know that many more things than they did when they were kindergarten, but they do know some things. And they have experience. And they've already gone through kindergarten and first and second grades. Well, you have that kind of experience. You've done things. You've seen things in your niche, in the same field, in the folks that you are talking to and that you are serving. And what happens is we start to assume that everybody that we're talking to in our communities, our potential clients, our potential customers, that they already know this stuff, that maybe they learned it from somebody else, or, oh, everybody knows that, I don't need to teach that, or, oh, I really don't know that much, and here's me saying, BS. Yes, what you know is important, and more importantly, it's coming from you. And if they're in your communities, if they're in your Facebook groups, if they're on your lists, then they trust you, and they want your perspective. They want your expertise. They want to know what you know and how you did what you did. even if you're only 2 or 3 steps ahead of them, because in some respects that makes you more relatable. And so the marketing tip here is that needs to be something that's in your blog posts, in your social media posts, in your emails, in your Facebook Live videos. I am not the world's foremost expert on Facebook Live. I've learned as I've done it. I studied other folks doing it, and I finally just got over myself and did it. And realized while I was learning, I do what I do best. I have to go teach it. So that's why I created a whole tutorial course on just the basics of what you need. For somebody who hasn't done their first Facebook Live video, here's the really short course on how to do your first one. And a couple of little advanced tricks. There's going to be more to learn. As I learn more, I'll share more. Hey, Ken, speaking of Facebook, speaking of social media experts. And yeah, Claudette agrees with you. We assume that everybody knows the same. This came up in another group I was with, and it may have been one in a coaching call where we were talking about content curation. And I was sharing one of my favorite apps and about how quickly it is to share things. You're also an expert because you share things that you know about or that you've read about. And I love the app Feedly. I probably use Feedly on my phone more often than Facebook or anything else. It's how I get news. But not just news about like what's going on in the world, but I've got a category for marketing news, a category for nonprofit, a category for about libraries, a category for, marketing tech. I also have sports and cycling and food. The point is that the app automatically links up to various social media tools that let me easily share and curate the content and say, hey, this other person wrote something that was really great that I really agree with and I think you ought to read this. Boom, I shared it out. That's part of marketing. It's part of building the know, like, trust factors, and it's sharing our expertise because we knew how to find that article and we knew that it might be important to our community, so we shared it. Ken shares my love for Feedly. And while I'm talking about Feedly and sharing it, people are asking me in the group, like, wait, what is that? How do you do that? Wait, content curation. I'm like, oh, this is one of those things where, again, I had to stop myself. I had assumed people knew something that was so ingrained for my workflow and how I operate. I stopped and forgot for a moment that everything I know is not something that everybody else knows. And it quickly came to me, okay, here's also, business idea. We're going to put together maybe a quick, short course. Not even a course, webinar, a couple of videos, where if you want to see me doing what I do in terms of, say, content curation and how we quickly make this work, and it means something that is not a major marketing time suck, then great. So now I have a niche, I have a product, I have another training I can offer, another way of being service to my community, all based on the fact that I had forgotten that I know something that the rest of my audience doesn't know about. So I'm going to possibly here convert Claudette as well to Feedly. The other thing to know is that Feedly is completely free, and I'm going to show you on one device, on another device. I just want to make sure that you actually see. So the icon, see if I can get to the camera. It's the green one over there with the little arrow that says Feedly. Not the greatest camera here on the side of the iPad. Ask. That's the other one. You sometimes need to ask in your community and step back and have them check you as to, oh, do you know about this tool? Oh, you don't? Well, let me share it with you. Do you know about this tip? Oh, you don't? Let me share that with you. Do you know about this other author, this podcast, this other blog? Ken was certainly the person who introduced me to Jen Herman of Jen's Trends. And if I have social media questions, that's where I'm going. I'm in her group so I can ask the questions of people who are much more smart than I am about all of the ins and outs on social media. I know that if I wanted to go and learn something and give advice to my friends who have become step parents, then I'm going to go to Claudette. And sometimes we don't know what to ask. Good point, Claudette. And I think one of the things is we need to even ask, if there's something that we're going to share a tip, or we're thinking that we're not going to share a tip or a tool or a resource because, everybody already knows about it, you can say, hey, did you know about this? Because I think it's really great. And if the answer is no, they didn't know about it, bingo, start sharing. Share why you love that tool. You can share why it's been helpful for me to follow Jen Herman. Why, when I get questions answered, when I ran into a problem, when a client in the nonprofit space wanted to go off and do something, I'm like, hold on, I don't think that's a very good idea. I think that's actually a potentially disastrous idea. And I can go and have that confirmed by other smart folks. And so part of the thing is to hear from you today is think about what is it, in your niche, in your audience, and what matters to them. What are the tips that you can give them, and that are particularly, highly targeted and relevant? Because this is also where I remind you that we are not all things to all people. We can't know all the things. I was actually working on an email before I started this Facebook Live, and part of it was about, yes, I'm tend to hit people with the fire hose of information, and I have to watch out for that, and not assume what people do or don't know, but also to maybe step back, dial it back, simplify things until somebody's like, nope, I want the advanced information. You can go over here. Please keep it basic for me over here. Cool. More bullet points, Jennifer. Got it. I'm listening, Nan. So we need to think about what we're sharing and even, keep it niched, because we aren't all things to all people, and we can't answer everything for everybody, and that's okay. Another really great quote that I came across was, I wish I knew what I know now. And it's a great time to reflect and to think, what are all the things that we're really grateful for in our businesses or in our niche amongst the people that we serve? We're like, wow, I've come a long way in, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 6 years, 10 years. And to say, these are some of the things that I wish I'd known back when I was in, one of your clients' positions. Maybe for Claudette, it's one of your moms who's just become a stepmom. They've just got new, young kids, step family. What are the things that you would, that now that you wish you'd known then? I'm sure there are things that even now Ken thinks like, wow, everything I know about social media, what do I wish I'd known back then that I know now? And part of it is that everything changes. And don't throw all your eggs in one basket, because everything's going to change. But I'm constantly sort of asking myself, and that's a question that you all can throw into the comments, which hopefully are slowly catching up here. What is it that you know now that you're really grateful for, and that you wish you'd known before? Because this is something that you can use and take back in your marketing, and you can share in emails, in videos, in your social groups, in your blog posts. You could even do it, once a week, once a month, something that you're grateful, something that you've learned in the course of working with your types of clients and customers that you're really glad you know now, and that it would have been really beneficial to you if you'd known it back then, even, back a year ago, back 6 years ago. Things like, I wish I'd really understood the importance of email and email marketing and consistency when I started off in my business nearly 8 years ago. And that I wish I knew that I could just have a conversation, and I was talking with one person. It just happened to be that I was sending it to a lot of people. But that it doesn't have to be formal, that it certainly doesn't have to be all templatized, and you don't have to graphics the thing up. You can have a conversation, and you can deliver them information, and you can deliver them an offer, and you just keep going and have that conversation. Ken says he wished he'd known not to spend any of his time with Google+. Yeah, I think I'm actually glad that I looked at that and went, yeah, no. Despite the fact that my brother-in-law works at Google and abandoned Facebook and tried to bring us all over to Google+. Didn't work. I have other friends now who are leaving and trying to go, let's go jump on the there's a new one coming up every now and then. Somebody else is going to be the next killer of Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Maybe one of them will be. And sometimes it takes time and experience to learn those things that you're like, yep, wish I'd known that back then. But I guarantee there are things right now that you know that make you, in fact, an expert, that make you that give you expertise in your niche that your clients, your prospective customers need and want. And they want it from you. So think about today, what's stopping you from giving them that information and from sharing with them? And if you share and they're like, oh, great, thanks, Jennifer, we already all knew that. And you're like, great, that's good to know too. We consider that a data point. It's not a failure, it's a data point. So just thinking about today, giving you maybe a little bit of a pep talk and a rah-rah is it reminded me when I came back from my tour through the cornfields that there are days where I think, well, I don't really know all that much. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you do. Because I can also point to my solopreneur pals and I can say, look, I've been following Lou Bortone for years and Stephen Washer. I follow the Tube Traffic guys and I've learned, and yeah, I also had a film minor, but that was 25 years ago and I need to pick up what's new now and I'm looking at them. And you know what, solopreneur pals, if you want to learn other ins and outs and all the details in terms of video, then hey, here's these 4 names that I recommend that I think are great. But I also know that all of that information that I have is information that my nonprofits clients don't have at all. They're not connected to that whatsoever. So me going over there and sharing the tips and the things that I've learned with them and how I've put that into practice, how I've seen other organizations and nonprofits and libraries put that into practice, all of a sudden it's like I'm the 3rd grader and I'm God to that group. And it's a nice ego boost. It's a nice ego boost. But it also reminds me to go back over into my other niche and to think about what are the things that I know that I can share and stop assuming that all of my other solopreneur pals know that. And to also ask them, what do they know that I should know? Because I don't actually know it all. Just because I have the Google foo and I can search things, I want to know. So if somebody else is recommending something to me, tell me something that I should know. Tell them something that I should know and I should be sharing out. So that's just your reminder. Your Thursday tips today is to remind you that, yes, you really are an expert. You really do have expertise. That expertise is absolutely worth sharing, that it is significantly core to your marketing. And you need to go out and do that. And to remember that you don't have to know all of the things. You don't have to have an advanced degree. You don't have to have certifications. You still have expertise and knowledge that they need and they want it from you. So go find a way in your marketing right now to share that and to help continuing to build that know, like, and trust factor. Share that expertise as a webinar. Share it as a product. Share it as a course. Share it in your coaching. Get it out there and find a way to make that a part of your business and a part of your marketing. It's because people need to know, what you've done, what you've experienced. Each of us has those unique gifts and those unique experiences that somebody in our community needs and wants. I can't wait to hear from all of you what you're going to share. I can't wait for you all to tell me something. Share your expertise with me. Give me a new tool. Give me something software. Tell me something you're using that I really ought to go check out. Show off your expertise. Ken can certainly tell me, some cool new social media resource that I should be looking into. Somebody else I should read. Is there a blog, podcast I should be following? I'm trying to get into that. Share your expertise. You have it. And is worth sharing. So hopefully you're going to get another Thursday tip next week. However, I will be in the middle of running a massive conference. So it may be a little hard for me to carve out the time at 3:00 to do this, since I'm in the Midwest and I'm supposed to be leading sessions at that time of the afternoon. But there will be some kind of Thursday tip coming to you next week as we try to get back on schedule for the rest of the year. Thank you for being with me. Jennifer Burke, MightyMarketingMojo.com. Go have a mighty rest of your week.